Hello out there, and welcome to another episode of the Vintage Baseball Podcast. I'm Swamp Fox Freest, and I'm broadcasting somewhat live from my basement again here in Columbus, Ohio. And this is a very special episode of the Vintage Baseball Podcast. I cannot tell you how excited I am to dig deep into this topic of vintage baseball. For our listeners out there, I just want to say that vintage baseball is happening all over the country right now this summer. And as you move into June and July, I guarantee every weekend there's going to be a vintage baseball match happening in your area. And today on the VBBP, Swamp Fox Frias is going to really dig deep into a lot of the issues that vintage baseball faces today, and it could be an existential crisis. It can be, an identity crisis. But we're going to talk. Hello.
Rudy? Rudy?
Barrel roller?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? How
you doing?
I'm great. How are you doing? What's going on here?
Look, this is awkward. I'm just gonna ask you something. What are you doing here? What are you doing here?
I'm doing an episode of the Vintage Baseball Podcast.
Do you know where you are right now?
Hang on, wait a second. What? No, let me get my paper.
The Vintage Baseball Podcast.
Is it
Rudy Frias? That's done. That's not going anymore.
Oh my goodness. I think it's a muscle memory thing.
Yeah.
I sat down and there was a mic here.
Well, I know you love yeah. I know you love the whole podcasting thing and everything, and I've always been 100% supportive of everything you've done in podcasts. Hell, you got me into it and got me to the start, but yeah, you're kind of in my area right now. Like, it's my podcast that's starting right now.
Is that why it smells so nice?
You've heard of it?
Yeah.
It's the roller out the barrel.
The roller out the barrel. I've heard about that. I hear good things. So
you more than heard about it. You listened. I just did you have a question or something? Or what's going on?
I thought for a second that you were my guest on the VBBP. And then I realized that doesn't.
Haven't I been your guest like so many times that it annoys people?
Yeah, you're the most specialist guest. And I only want to talk to the most special people. So this is embarrassing. I mean, I honestly.
Let me ask you this.
Go ahead.
Well, the rumor was, and I listened to your last episode.
Yeah.
It really seemed like you were shutting the door.
Yeah.
On the podcast. I mean, is that true?
Yeah, and I thought that it was a door that I could manually shut myself, like how doors work. But
you're lagging, or you don't want to answer the question. Okay.
There's a lag. No. Well, listen, here's the thing.
There you
are. It was an automatic door, and it shut before I could do it myself. And so, yeah, the door is shut on the VBBP. Did I record some episodes for the finale? Yeah, I mean, maybe, but maybe not. What's up?
So it's kind of up in the air. Your future's kind of up in the air right now. That's what I'm getting from this right now.
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest. I'm kind of
we could.
I'm like a paper bag.
You're like a free agent almost.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, I mean,
Uh,
yeah.
well, the whole concept of having a podcast, let's not even bring up the vintage baseball part of it, has always intrigued you. You've always wanted to get into the podcasting. This is back when everybody didn't have a podcast. Uh, and and frankly, I only got excited about doing a podcast after you just talking to you and listening to you got me excited about doing a podcast. And then I got, Jeff Kozlowski is the one who gave me my content matter without meaning to on accident. And, but you were the one that taught me about things. My very first recording was with you to make sure you started out as the producer of the show. And then COVID took that away pretty quick. And the theme of the show went away from what we are originally envisioned, and we just went and did our separate things. And we've been doing our separate things for a couple of years, and it's amazing how time flies.
Right? Like that was like
in
to
this
think
game.
to think that in December of 2019, like we were on cloud nine. We had a great plan. We were all going to get together. We were going to, I was producing some episodes and editing some really great content. We had some fantastic ideas, and then we lost a whole year and a half, and that's that. Yeah, and you definitely had to. I don't want to say we went our separate ways. I'm going to say that we grew. We grew apart together. Ooh, look at that. That was a good one. Right? No, you froze.
And you wanted to keep doing yours.
Well, yeah.
We grew apart together. We didn't really actually grow apart. We've been friends the entire time.
The whole time. Can I tell you one thing?
Go ahead.
Okay. The last vintage baseball match I played, people asked me if you and I had a beef, if like we were not talking to each other anymore. And it took every fight. I dangled the hook a little bit. I was like, I never know what that guy's doing. And I tried, but in my heart of hearts, I couldn't even go with it because I just can't even fake hate you. It's not possible. I just love you too much.
Well, Rudy, I guess we can, draw back the curtain here. The fact of the matter is, there's not room enough for two of us, and I kicked your ass out the door. And no, that is not what happened. That is not what happened. What happened here is Rudy went out and got himself one of those lives that people talk so much about. And he's living the beautiful life right now, raising two beautiful children with his gorgeous wife. And he's living large, and he doesn't have as much time to churn out good content. I think that's what's going on here.
That's it.
So Rudy talked to me about this, and I think it took me about 3 seconds, and I said, Rudy, I think it's time for this. Oh, yeah. It is the Roller on the Barrel Show with your host, Barrel Roller, and
Swamp Box for ears.
That's right. Things are changing, folks. Two have become one. There is no A and B show, 1 and 2. We're doing it all together. It's no longer the Roller Out the Barrel Vintage Baseball Podcast. It is the Roller Out the Barrel Show. We are co-hosts. We are not a host with a sidekick. Rudy's not my sidekick. I am not his sidekick. We are 50-50 co-hosts go forward. Feel about this.
I mean, look at that logo for our listeners out there. Yeah, you can't see it, but you soon will see it. I mean, look at that logo. It's beautiful.
You will see it when I release this episode tonight. You're going to see that logo. That logo is a fox for the Swamp Fox wearing a barrel. And oh, it's beautiful.
It looks so good.
And that's what we're going forward with. So now think about this. You're going to get interviews. Sometimes they're going to be interviews with just Rudy interviewing somebody. Sometimes they're going to be just me. And sometimes, as often as possible, they're going to be both of us doing interviews. And then think of all the content you're going to get from game days, kids, because Rudy and I are never together on game days. And so he's going to have content where he is. I'm going to have content where I am. And you know what else we did? We got the Yeti, Landon Smith, to join us.
Oh, man. Love that guy.
If you've been watching on the Facebook page, he's Yetiers. I think that's what we're doing. So Yeti at all his matches, who goes to more matches than Rudy and I all together, I think. He's going to be doing these, and he's got his own logo, and I'll unveil that next week when we talk to Yeti about his Thank You Moose festival experience and unveil his logo and things that he's doing. So content all over the Midwest. That's what we're doing now, and it's going to be a beautiful thing. Our listening ship is quite steady. And I think with putting all of our heads together, we're going to come up with some great stuff. We already have some ideas. Rudy and I already had a meeting about an idea that he had to talk me down from, and that is what our relationship is.
Hey,
Rudy, tell everybody the segment that we're going to do. Do not tell anybody the segment the way I wanted to do it. Tell them what we agreed.
We agreed on taking the problem in vintage baseball that various clubs have, where you get the same day dropout or the week of dropout or 2 days before dropout. I'm not going to make the game. I've got A, B, and C. I'm sorry, we're going to take that and we're going to put them to the people's court. And by the people's court, that means they are going to submit their case. They're going to plead their case to the judge, if you will, and we will cross-examine the witness and tear apart their, I guess you would say, excuse for missing a vintage baseball event. And then we will hand down judgment as to whether or not that is a valid excuse. And
there he is.
And if it is a valid excuse, you will be pardoned from your absence of the vintage baseball game. But if it is not a valid excuse, there will be a shaming. Oh, there will be a shaming. So for
there will be penalties.
Oh yeah, tell them.
Yeah. So Rudy is the judge on these matters because he's level-headed and calm, and so what it takes is somebody on a club to nominate somebody from their own club. You cannot do this to somebody from a different club. You nominate them. We will contact them and see if it's all right with them, because we're not out to mess with anybody, to upset them anyway. And then they are allowed to bring in a witness. One witness. However, I am allowed to intrude upon their lives and get my own witness. And so there will be two witnesses, and said plaintiff will give his story. I will pepper him with questions. Rudy will make a judgment. If he loses, that's going to be beer for the team. That's a given.
Yep.
He's also going to have to do a shaming of some, and we will do something different all the time. I believe we're looking at a pie in the face after a match, something like that, and then we'll get the video on and we'll put it on the Facebook page of the shaming that has to happen. But if he wins, I almost feel like the team owes him beer for doubting him.
That's a good point. That's a really good
or
point.
Something like that. This is something that's we're building towards, and we want to do this, and so we're going to throw it out there. We're going to do something officially with a release on this, so everybody has the information. They can contact us, but you can always contact us at barrelrollerpod@gmail.com. You can find us on the Facebooks. You're going to find us on the Instagram soon enough. And I think you're going to find us on a YouTube channel pretty soon. And you're going to get sick of us. But just think, if you're listening to this and you left the show because how much I annoy you, well, now Rudy's here to save you.
I am here to be the yin to your yang. Let's be honest. We are.
That's right. Yanging. I am the yang. You're the yang.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I think it's just honestly, you have been doing such fantastic work and producing such great content for, brace yourself, years now that I mean, and I love listener, listen. We this is an ideas man right here. The barrel roller is a cornucopia of ideas, and he will bounce ideas off of me. I will bounce ideas off of him, and all of it is the goal of showcasing everything about vintage baseball, the good, the bad, and sometimes there's a little bit of ugly, but I mean, we're not here to talk about Kid Freas. Ooh, had to get that one in.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I'm joking, Ian. I love you.
Tell everybody what your niece did this last weekend.
Oh my gosh. My niece, Sophia Frias, is currently the number one ranked 13-year-old under 140 pounds in the country for powerlifting. She competed in the national teen powerlifting competition in San Francisco and crushed it. Like, so incredibly strong. I'm over the moon. The whole family, because I was with my mom and my dad on Saturday, and we were all a part of a group text that Ian was sending updates and sending us pictures and sending us placements, and we are just over the moon excited for her. It was such a great accomplishment. She's worked super hard for it. So, my niece is the number one ranked power lifter, 13-year-old power lifter in the country. Which
that is amazing.
Yeah, if you know Ian, that makes sense. So like all the vintage baseball people out there who know Kid Frias, the dots connect on that
one. Yeah, absolutely. I just was reminded of a segment we're going to be doing every week on the show. Rudy's fathering moment of the week. Rudy, you've got two youngins. There's no way something weird doesn't happen every week with one of them. There's just no way. So we're going to give it a practice run. We're going to have imaging and music for this segment in the future. But right now, Rudy, what was your family moment of the week?
My family moment.
Fathering moment.
My fathering family moment of the week would be, we are in T-ball at the moment. My son Javi is currently starting. He's in 4 games deep into his t-ball season, and if you know um, my daughter, she is what I would be commonly referred to as a spark plug, and she's just going all the time, doesn't want to stop. And so we are out there. Javi, I'm standing next to him out in the field, trying to coach. I'm not the coach. I'm just trying to help. And Violet is all over the place. And my poor wife is like running and trying to like watch Javi and take video and track Violet, who is not having any of it. She wants to be on the field. She wants a glove. She wants to play in the dirt. She wants to be everywhere. And um Javi is clearly, he's like, Violet is all over the place. And I was like, yeah, I know. And so, parenting moment of the week. Here's your advice, parents. It is okay to divide and conquer. My poor wife jumped on the grenade that was my daughter that day, followed her around the entire complex of fields. This is a complex of probably like, I think like 10 fields. Followed her because she just wanted to explore everything. And I was getting updates while I was helping Javi, and I was taking lots of video for my wife so she could still stay engaged. Um, and my wife sent this text to me that said, "Your daughter just took a dump in a dugout." And
I I knew this segment was going to be gold. Damn it! I knew this was a great idea. Oh my god!
And so my wife got to see all of 3 minutes of a game that lasted an hour. Because in t-ball, everybody hits and everybody plays 2 innings. And we we loaded up the wagon. Javi and I walked back to the car, and there was my daughter bare-assed in the back seat because she wouldn't lay still for the changing of the diaper. My wife got the dirty diaper off and cleaned her, but then she just took off. So, parenting advice: divide and conquer when you can. Trust me, it's going to help. And that's my parenting moment.
Oh, that's good stuff. So, if you're wondering at this point, are those two just going to talk to each other this whole episode? Is that what this is about? No, it gets better. That's not what this episode is about. Although before every episode, we are going to take a couple of minutes to reconnect with each other and kind of see how our week is going. We are going to do that, but that's going to be a very abbreviated couple minutes as opposed to what we've just done for 25 minutes, just about. So what this episode is actually about is it's Anthony Cannino Part 2. Anthony Cannino from the Brooklyn Athletics Baseball Club is going to join the Zoom, and we are going to do a second part of an interview that he did, and we're going to get more into his vintage baseball and early vintage baseball life that we never got into in the first episode. And then we don't know where it's going to go from there, but we're going to talk for an hour as we do on the Roller Out the Barrel show with your hosts, RF and B. So I'm looking forward to that interview. Now, here's the funny thing is we're Zooming right now. We're zooming. And Anthony Cannino's never Zoomed before. So in a couple of minutes, he's going to attempt to come into the room, and we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if we're going to hear him. We don't know if we're going to see him. We are going to have to talk him through it, possibly, and you're going to have to deal with it while we do that. But other than that, I think we're about still a couple of minutes away from that happening. Rudy? Are you ready to come to Frankenmuth or what?
I have been looking forward to this coming weekend all year. Since January. My family locked in lodging. I got a phone call from from the barrel roller in August of last year. And it said, Frankenmuth wants me back. Not lying. My family booked lodging the very next week. It was they were like, their thought was, well, if it happens, we have it. If he doesn't happen, we're just gonna go hang out in Frankenmuth for a weekend. So this has been it's gonna be what do they say, a salve for the soul. This is gonna it's gonna warm my cold dead heart to be in Frankenmuth this weekend and see you and see everyone. I cannot wait. I imagine that you are looking forward to Monday afternoon or Monday morning, but are you looking forward to this weekend?
Well, I got to work Monday morning. I'm not looking forward to Monday morning. I got a job. I got to get up at 3:45 Monday morning and go to work. But that's all right, because Sunday is kind of the getaway day, so it's not a full day.
Oh, yeah.
So that'll work out. So when I came up with the idea for the festival, I always had a vision of what I wanted it to be and what I thought it could be in Frankenmuth. And when I did it in 2018, it wasn't even close to what I wanted to do. It was just like, all right, well, we did something. People liked it. It was great. It's not what I wanted. And then we did it in 2019, and it was closer. It was all right. We had the experience with ESPN. I was trying to get us more visibility out there. Still did not accomplish what I wanted to with some things. And it took, I got to tell you the truth, 2019 took a lot out of me. And I was not looking forward to 2020. And as I was planning 2020, I was very disappointed in the fact that I didn't feel like I was upping the ante at all. I don't feel like I feel like 2020 would have looked a lot like 2019 in 2018. And that's where it was headed. And I was not happy about that. And then COVID took it away. And I wasn't completely sad because I don't feel like I put in my best effort into it.
Mm-hmm.
And no one would have noticed. It would have been fine. It would have been, I don't think ESPN was going to be there. I don't remember. Who cares? They're terrible people. But 2018 didn't have the ESPN thing, and it probably would have looked like a lot like that. And then I thought it was done. Anthony Cannino says he's in the waiting room.
Are you ready?
Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can bring him in, and I'll just finish my thought there, and he'll just have to sit through it. I don't care. Let's bring in Anthony Cannino.
There he is.
What's up, you handsome fellas? How you doing?
Oh, man.
We made this big full screen here. How we doing? How you guys doing today?
Oh, look at.
I am so good right now.
Hey, listen, you'll be even better in 4 more days when I can see you in person.
Oh.
Yeah. So we're going to play a round robin game of who freezes the most, and it's probably going to be Rudy. So when somebody freezes, the other two just have to keep talking.
That sounds good.
Anthony, before we bring you in to do our interview, I just have to finish a thought I was talking before we brought you in. We didn't want to keep you on hold. So when Frankenmuth called me as I laid in the grass at the World's Tournament while the championship game was going on, Greenfield Village, it called me and asked me to bring it back and everything. And I'm not going to give everybody a timeline of all the crap I've had to go through to get this one going. But I knew when I brought it back that I was going to take that opportunity to up the game. And so no regrets. To come away, no regrets. And so that's what I've done with the skills competitions, the Mighty Striker, the Gingerly Gentleman. Everybody gets to partake in the King of Hearts skills competition. Every single vintage baseball player could come away the winner of that. And so I'm very proud of the concept, and it's just a matter of if it comes off. But I'm very happy with the meeting I had with Frankenmuth today. I'm very happy with the amount of businesses willing to donate to ALS of Michigan. I'm very proud of my affiliation with ALS of Michigan for this festival. And in everything, we should say that, Rudy, everything Rudy and I do forward with the Roller Around the Barrel show, as we are now co-hosting of the show, is done with ALS. It doesn't matter if it's ALS of Michigan or ALS of Ohio. I know Ohio is actually broken down into different zones, but wherever we go, we're doing stuff with ALS, and that's just the way that's going to be. So anyway, I'm looking forward to it. I'm especially looking forward to it if my ideas all work. And if they don't work, then I'll be drinking a lot of apple pie moonshine that weekend. And I think if everything's going flawlessly, I should stay at a level keel. But if things start hitting the fan, I might tap into it a little too much. Anyway, so enough about that. Enough about Frankenmuth. Everyone's tired of me talking about Frankenmuth. By the way, it's going to kick your ass. Let's bring in the very first interview of the Roller Out the Barrel show reincarnation with two hosts, but it's part 2 of an earlier interview. Check out the math and science on that. How are we supposed to? What the hell? It's Anthony Cannino from Brooklyn Atlantics. Anthony, how you doing?
I'm doing excellent, fellas. Thank you so much for having me. I feel very blessed to be back for a second interview. Most excited that you two are now partnered up, because I must be honest, Matt, I've known Rudy for many, 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 many years, and he never asked me to be on his podcast.
What?
And I gotta say that after you interviewed me, I was still looking forward to a possible opportunity to speak with him, because we've been friends through vintage baseball for about 2 decades. And I just figured it'd be cool to talk a little vintage baseball with my friend Rudy there. And I see it's been so long since I've seen him that we've both grown some nice long beards, and I like it. I got to commend him on that, but I'm excited that you're doing it together. So I do get to speak with you still and answer some questions and speak vintage with you here on this platform, because it's a real great opportunity for people all across. And I think you even have some fans outside of the U.S., not even just across the U.S., but it's a great opportunity for us to just talk baseball and spread that vintage baseball love through the U.S., up north, and any other country that maybe this reaches, which I don't know if you do reach to outside countries yet, but you will after this one, I guarantee you.
He does. He reaches vast countries and continents. This
Canada
man
is so close to you guys, right? So at least up north to Canada.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. And let me just say, yes, I did drop the ball on reaching out to you as a guest, and I'm gonna take that one. That's on me. And I know, listen, I know that I did have the dream bucket on before I had you on, but that's not you. That you are still very, very, very important to me. I've known you longer than the dream bucket, and you know that. So I'm just so excited you're here.
Listen, our love is going to flow way beyond this computer when I see you in a few days, and I'm very, very excited to that. So to get to that once we actually get on this long drive and get out there in a few days. But thank you for real for inviting the Atlantics and being able to bring out an East Coast team to your festival that you're doing again this year, which we're honored and super excited about. We're super excited to play some new teams and see some old friends. So it's long overdue since we've been out your way.
Well, you definitely add credibility to the event. Anytime you can get in the Midwest, you can get one of an outlier from far away. It adds credibility, because Michigan and Ohio have so many vintage baseball teams. It's really not that big of a deal to get them to come to an event. But when you get New York and Minnesota, and some, this is the first time I think we've had somebody from Illinois coming in. That's what adds credibility to the event. So I definitely owe you guys a debt of gratitude, and I appreciate you guys having some faith that you are not going to go home disappointed.
No, especially if you
and by
share
the
some of
way,
that apple pie
you're not.
moonshine with us. We would
Boom.
never go home
Well,
disappointed.
you know that's happening. You know that's happening. All you have to do is come over to the podcast tent on Field 2, and I will share some with you. There's no doubt about that.
May I ask a question? Am I allowed to ask you a question?
Go ahead.
It's about that. I actually did see your stream earlier in the day when you were walking the fields about where you were laying out some stuff. And I came across and I noticed you had said that Field 2 would be where you're doing your podcast. Are you doing that throughout all of the games, or is it during a select time only? Because I do see Brooklyn Atlantics have a game on Field 2 at one point.
When the Brooklyn Atlantics are on Field 2, the barrel roller is on Field 2.
Perfect.
And the microphones are going on Field 2.
Excellent.
So
that's going to be fun. Okay.
All of the games on Field 2, somebody is going to be there broadcasting. We have Rudy. We have Jeff Kozlowski of the Greenfield Village La-Di-Da's. We have me, and I'm hoping to add somebody else so I can get up and walk around. But we're going to be doing play-by-play in color of every match at Field 2 and doing our very famous 8-minute interviews.
All
Was
right,
it 8
awesome.
minutes? Oh my God, I'm old. It was 8 minutes, I think.
It was 8.
No.
It was 8. Yeah.
It was 8. All right, good.
Yeah.
Sweet. And apple pie moonshine. So all of that's going to be going Field 2. It's going to be a beautiful thing.
We're super looking forward to it. You've been putting in a lot of hard work on this festival. I've been trying to keep up to date with everything you've been sharing online. And, you've got how many clubs coming to this? Is it 40 or are we over 40?
We're only at 30. We
30. Okay.
set out,
That's still a lot.
This is going to be, we're going to break some news here. Okay. So I only wanted 32 this time because I had this theme. It's the Kings and all this stuff. So I wanted to use 2 of the fields for the skill stuff. So I didn't want to invite. So 32 is what I was going for. I actually invited every club in vintage baseball, and they just started accepting, and then I just took the
all inclusive.
I just took the first 32. Yes, and but then we had the Columbus Buckeyes drop out because, and this is my opinion, I do not know the reason, but I believe it's because they were eventually invited to the World's Tournament and did not want to make 2 trips to Michigan. Your hatred for Michigan it mocks me. But so they dropped out early, and then and by that time, teams, every year teams are scheduled earlier and earlier. So we ended up getting the Wild Bunch, which is a group of vintage guys that get together because they love each other so much and love the game, but they're not on the same team. So they wanted to show up for a game so they could wear their kilts and play on Sunday. And then, but then we had the team from Milwaukee cancel because they, every time I've thrown an event, a couple of teams have canceled. So I was hoping that was the end of that. That's a long trip for those guys. And when the numbers start coming down, it's not as easy as a team who's closer and the numbers start dwindling, but you're like, well, we're still going to show up because we got a lot of guys coming from teams that aren't even in the festival just to play. And we got guys that are on clubs at the festival that aren't getting enough games for them, and they will just join games all day and play. We got players. We got enough players. So that's not the problem. So, awesome. And then unfortunately this week we had Spiegel Grove from Ohio cancel. Gas prices? Something like that. And
they're coming from where? And they're complaining about gas prices?
Shaky.
I'm coming from New York.
Shaky from the beginning.
Do I have to take a picture of the gas signs before I leave so I can show you guys? Like, sure, it's bad all around, but
Oh,
And they probably have numbers problems too. I think that's just one of the things those guys threw out. They're in a transitional state right now, so I don't hold it against those guys. I don't even know those guys. So I have no leg to stand on with that. So
It's unfortunately going to be their loss, it sounds like, because we won't get to meet them
I'm in
until the
same
next
boat
possible
I've always
event.
been.
yeah. I mean, and
Right.
honestly,
So,
like, well, that it's kind
uh,
of been like a plague, barrel roller, right? Like, it's kind of been like an issue that everybody's like running into this year. We've ran into it. Like, getting people together is a it doesn't matter how deep your roster is. I know some of the clubs with the deepest rosters are still having issues getting just guys to show up for a little bit. So I think it's something it's the little engine that could. They're chugging up the hill, trying to get a start on the season, and then everybody will come around eventually. And yeah, you're right, TC. It is their loss, and I mean, and it's nothing against them. They're going to miss out on a great time.
No.
Hopefully, they'll be there next year or in previous year and in other years, right? Barrel roller. I don't want to put anything out there.
Is that a teaser? There's already going to be another one. We didn't even get to this one yet, Rudy. Come on.
I love giving him
no
grief.
teasers. The only thing I got to say is I am going to kick your asses, your vintage baseball asses, with something that you're not even going to understand until Wednesday. That you're going to go home and be like, what? And then Wednesday you're going to be like, oh yeah, that was pretty sweet. So I'm giving it my best shot. I'm giving it everything I got, and that's all I can tell you. I can't tell you anything about the future, and I can tell you that the teams that aren't coming are missing out. But they're missing out every time a team cancels. Every time a team cancels, I don't care if it's a single match, you're missing out. So you need to keep up your commitment. You need to go to your matches. You're not just affecting your club, by the way. You're affecting the clubs you were facing. And no, I'm not directing this towards the teams that were traveling to come to a festival. My event, everybody's events move on from canceled teams. We all move on. It's part of life. It happens. It's frustrating, but I mean, I'm sure Rudy, Anthony, and I have at some point bowed out of a match. I don't know. I feel like I haven't. But I feel like I haven't. I feel like I've never waned on my commitment to vintage baseball until, it was over for me anyway. I was toast. But, Anthony, let me talk to you about this. One of the first episodes I ever did was with Chuck Ciccarello. And I was telling him how the Midwest thinks of the East Coast teams. And we think of the East Coast teams as aggressive and committed, and they take it up a notch. And that's how I felt at that time. And let me show you how my thinking has changed since then. That's what I thought is you guys were up there. You were aggressive. You really got to show up and be on your A game and even above to stay with your level of desire. I mean, out on the field, and I was wrong. It isn't the fact that we have to step up to your level of aggression. It's you're playing at the right level of aggression. That's the right level. You're not raised. You're right where it should be, and we've taken steps down to the level that we're at. To have to come up to your level is to meet you on the field, to be playing at your energy level and with your passion. And passion is really the word I was looking for. So Chuck didn't understand what I was trying to get across to him, and now I see why. And I was asking him what they thought, what you guys thought of Midwest teams, and he just didn't understand where I was going with it. And now I understand why nobody knew what the hell I was talking about, because I was looking at it on the opposite end of the spectrum. Anthony, what's the difference between East Coast teams and Midwest teams in vintage baseball?
Well, there's a bunch of differences. What's the common interest? Let me start there. And it's that we all love this game and we sacrifice our weekends and our hours and family time when we're off of work to all play this game together. That's a similarity. And I know you asked for what the difference is, but the reason why I'm bringing that up is because that's probably what brings us all together. That's what gets us to the field. We love the game. Sometimes we may have disagreements, whether it's the rules and the uniform or anything. And I'm not even there yet, but sometimes there's disagreements, but we love the game. So we all get together for that purpose. Now, the next thing is, Rudy, you brought up like injuries or people being plagued by not being able to fully field the team. And that's another big thing. If you've got 10, 11 guys, you've got a good solid team. But if you're staggered around like 7 or 8 or 9, plagued with injuries, makes it a little harder to field the team. And that could be a little different. But we all share that, whether we're Midwest or East Coast ball. And the thing that needs to unite us is that we all want to play. So, all right, if the Atlantics only have 7 guys and a Midwest team only has, or maybe has 11 guys, let's try and play a 9-on-9 and make it work and get everybody to just play the game. That's what we are missing. That's what the difference is. The guys want to talk about the differences, and they do this over there on the East Coast, or that's wrong, or point fingers and blame, but nobody wants to play. We want to play. And that's the thing that we are separate from, because we could talk all day. We can continue to research. We can continue to look at things. We have a real good idea of what vintage baseball was. We have a great idea of what vintage baseball was 20 years ago when some of our families were first introduced to it. But what is it now? It's us who want to play against each other. We want to enjoy the game and get some exercise. We want to enjoy the game with friends. And then maybe after the game, hang out for an hour, have a beverage, have a barbecue, have time together where we can share that love of the game together. And that's where I think everybody gets it lost. The guys on the East Coast that I play against, you're right. We can be competitive. We are definitely passionate, and we love the game. I don't think that's very different from the Midwest guys, but we're willing to travel to you guys. We're willing to pony up and do what we got to do on our horse and carriage to be able to make it so that we can play great teams. I have guys coming on this trip that have not made it your way yet. It's going to be an experience for us city folk to see such a brighter side of the country. I'm very much looking forward to the drive over, because that time with my teammates, that 12 hours in the car or whatever it is, that's precious time. I'll be able to share stories with them and communicate with them and learn more about my teammates that maybe I don't get to see during the regular weeks. And that's part of the game. It's not during the 9 innings on the field, but that is a big part of the game. And that's something my team has always kind of had. And I feel like a lot of the East Coast teams have, with each other as competitors and also with teammates. So if ever a team felt they can't field a full 9, use this thing that is between or under your mustache and above your beard to communicate and say, hey, I'd like to play a game, but I am only able to field X, Y, and Z amount of guys. Is there any possible chance 5 other guys from any neighboring state want to play? We're so nuts. There are vintage ballists that will drive an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours to go play a game. We do it because we love it. And if you don't put it out there and you don't share that, people aren't going to know. And that's why I like your platform here. I like that you put something out there for us to communicate with each other and say, hey, look, we may do things a little different. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying you're right. And I'm definitely not saying you're wrong. But what I'm saying is, if we can come to an agreement to just play and have fun together, we can make things work. And we're looking forward to that, because we're going to get some new teams playing by maybe a more aggressive, I think was the term you used, right? And more aggressive type of baseball that you would have heard or seen on the East Coast. Now, you've come to Gettysburg, right? Both of you guys have come to Gettysburg.
I have. I don't think Barrel Roller has yet.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
So your former club has?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I remember the club name on the roster. Even last year, I believe they came. I guess you weren't there. You've retired since.
Yeah.
But
Sorry.
It's okay. But it's just an example of they came. That club came, and they were able to see what we do out on Pennsylvania and what we were able to do at the Gettysburg Festival. And it's similar to your festival. We're not winners and losers. We're all ball players who had a good time. Then we go to the bar and we have a burger, we have some fries, we have a beer, and everybody gets to hang out and talk. And it's a great, great, great time. Do you want me to pinpoint a real difference?
Yeah, well, give one, and then I want to chime in. Go for it.
I think your boys can hit the snot out of the ball. I think that's a big difference. You got a lot of powerful fellas over there in the Midwest that can hit the ball, and I'm very excited to see that one competition for the mightiest striker.
Yeah, dude. And so this is like literally, dude. Hearing you say every word, hearing you talk, like, oh my gosh, you're speaking my language. Like, that is it. That is the reason. I'll never forget. Like you said, like when I was in New York for that summer and playing, like it was all about communicating. Like, nope, I didn't have a car, but somebody on the Gothams had a car. I took 2 trains to go meet him deep in Queens and then at a corner, and then he picked me up and we drove out to y'all to play. Like, and we were just putting stuff together because we loved to play, we wanted to play, and then it happened. And
it made it work.
That's exactly it. And it was amazing, dude. I could not have said it any better, but hearing you say that, I just hope that all of the listeners know that you hit the nail on the head right there. Like there was no doubt about it. And I want to ask you this question. It's not so much about the difference between Midwest and East Coast, because we all are aware that there is a little difference. I'm using air quotes for little, but talk about like your first experience, because it's been a minute since you've been over here. It's been a minute since I've been out to y'all. I think it's been about I want to say 10 years.
Wants to know. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, yeah.
Go ahead. Me?
No, barrel roller. Were you gonna say
barrel
something?
roller? Jump in.
No, I was only jumping in because you froze, Rudy.
Oh.
So you go ahead and finish your say your thought again, and then we'll kick it to Anthony to answer it.
I think he's the one with the bad connection.
Yeah, I think he's got the bad connection because we didn't freeze. I heard him the whole time. Sorry. But
Zach,
no.
That's fine.
We got you, buddy. No, so talk about like you talked about the ride over. Like what is it, like 12 hours? Is that gonna be like 12, 13 for you?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be about 12. So like talking about how you mentioned like picking up a friend on a street corner in the middle of Queens, and then everybody's gonna carpool and go to the game out east in Smithtown, Long Island, where the Atlantics play our home games. We're going to be doing a similar kind of thing. I have one guy who's from like the middle of Long Island. I'm from the South Shore. We're going to try to meet, and whether it's me going to him, which would mean I'd have to actually go out east a little bit first and then come back.
Yeah.
We're working on. We're trying to figure that out timing wise, because when I'm trying to leave, it depends. But I am driving, so I will get him. Then we're going into the city, into Harlem, to pick up another teammate of ours. From Harlem, we're going into New Jersey. I'm going to pick up my cousin in Jersey, and then from Jersey, then we're taking the rest of the trip there. And at that point, I'm hoping it's just about 10 and a half hours, something like that. So it does depend on traffic. I'm going to try to leave late night on Thursday. I'm hoping to get in midday on Friday. This way we can at least, my crew, we can catch the captain's match and kind of just hang out with everybody and see what's going on and walk around. The shops look great, and we kind of want to enjoy the rest of the day. We want to look around and see everybody.
What on a road trip? What is necessary for an Atlantics road trip? Because I'll never forget the long road trips that we took with the Capitals, whether it was in my small car full of people or renting a cargo van to get out to Iowa. Like, what's essential for an Atlantics road trip?
Essential for us, I mean, for me, my biggest thing is I got to have music playing while I'm driving. Now, I know we're going to talk the whole time, but either way, I'm going to have music going. Essential, I would be lying if I was pretending that I don't need a GPS, because I certainly need a GPS. Great conversation with my teammates. We get to learn a lot about each other, and we definitely need snacks. Lots of coffee and lots of snacks for whoever's driving with me.
Right? Yes. Yes. And I'm going to take this time real quick, Barrel Roller. I'm going to take this time to, because you kind of put it out there and you did. And I know you as a person, and I know it wasn't a dig. Like, you talked about how you have made the trip. Like, you have made the trip before to the Midwest to play, whether it's at the Ohio Cup, the World Tournament, or just some other event in the Midwest. You've made that trip. I cannot stress enough. Midwest clubs, make the trip. Go out to Long Island. Please, like, make the trip out so you can, one, bond with your club on a road trip like that, and make like some real long lasting memories that are gonna, that you're gonna draw other people into the community, because you'll have this amazing shared experience, and you're gonna get to meet some new people and play some great baseball. So Midwest clubs, make the trip. Contact. Let start reaching out. And we live in the Midwest, this really nice bubble where we kind of just schedule within the Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania. I'm including that bubble, but do the work. You will be a better club, and you will have a much richer experience for it.
And let me just throw out there, like you said, it wasn't a dig. It was a remark. It wasn't a slap though. And I just want to let you guys know, we all work hard. We all have families, and we are all dealing with gas prices as high as they are, and those injuries. Like, that's where we're all equals. And that's why I brought that up earlier, because it can happen. You can do it. And it may take a year's worth of planning to get enough encouragement from guys, either volunteer donations, whatever it takes that can help a club. We would love to have you guys somewhere on the East Coast. And we're not the only vintage team in Long Island. We're not the only vintage team in New York. We're not the only vintage team on the East Coast. There are so many clubs, all shapes and sizes, different eras and years, so you can experience the game from a different perspective that you maybe even never thought of trying, because it was never presented to you. An 1870s game, an 1880s game, and that's even before you get too crazy into the evolution of the game. But you can at least try it and know that you did, and whether it was a fun time or it was a learning experience, it's going to be baseball, and it's going to be enjoyable for all of those same reasons you enjoy the game today, just in your own backyard. It's just as fun, just with maybe a little crazier people. Yeah. I'm one of those.
And it's interesting. It's
so
interesting.
One thing.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
We're not doing this song and dance.
Okay, fine.
You go ahead.
It's interesting that you talked about. Nope.
I said what?
He's on delay, because I'm with you, Rudy. Yeah. You and I are in real time. He's on delay.
I'm so sorry, Barrel Roller. There's a delay on your end. I'll just keep talking, and then when I throw my hands up, I'm done talking.
Okay.
So, it's you were talking about, like, you're picking up people that want to play ball. Like, there couldn't have been a better example. The Sunday of our weekend tour out there, the Atlantics whooped us on Saturday, and they just, like, because they're an amazing club and they're great guys and they were so nice, but we were operating with a skeleton crew. I think we maybe had 10 guys, and 2 people got hurt on Saturday, and Sunday we were playing Flemington in Brooklyn. Who answered the call? Atlantics. They're like, we got you. They showed up to the game, helped us fill a full team, and helped us play an amazing match on an AstroTurf soccer field in Prospect Park in Brooklyn. Gosh. And
yeah, I remember that one.
They were like, hey, I was like, I don't know if we'll have enough guys because we're all injured. They're like, we got you. And they helped us out. So, like, it's there. The opportunity's there. Barrel Roller, my hands are up.
Okay. I said earlier that I thought of the East Coast teams as aggressive. I just want to clarify. I used to think that you were aggressive, and now I just think of you guys playing the way people should be playing. So you're not aggressive. You're just more aggressive than the soft Midwest teams. That's right. That's right, bitches. You're soft. You are soft. you call in on a Friday, not going to play. Oh God. All right. What happened? What? I blacked out for a second.
It wasn't me who said it. I didn't say it, but I spelled it out with finger words.
SAWFT.
You picked that up. Well done.
Oh, we know we're all in the same mindset on that. Yeah. So there's that. But I want to get to we're starting to get into angry territory here, and I just there's things that we didn't talk about in the first episode. If you go back into the archives, back when I was alone, and now I'm not alone going forward. I had a great episode with Anthony Cannino, and in fact, the Dirty Pirate. Here's a news flash. Breaking news. Spoiler alert. I don't know. I always got people questioning me about downloads and what episode did this and how'd my episode do and all this. And I don't release any of that information. I just don't want a lot of the magic out of the hat. But number one downloaded episode is Anthony Cannino Part 1, and it's not even close. I will tell you that it is not even close. Second through 10th are all fighting somewhat relatively close to each other. And number one, no one's going to catch him. It ain't going to happen. There's more downloads for Anthony Cannino than Bobby Valentine.
That's a quote. I will quote that.
It's true. That is a true statement. So,
well,
so yeah,
so
it's
that.
great
that
to have you here
awesome.
for that too. So,
thank you. Listen, I must say, it helps having the two of you now. I'm gonna include you both here. It helps having the two of you ask questions to people on the East Coast that are ballists. Like you mentioned, Barrel Roller, you've had Chuck on, and Rudy, you've interviewed Dean. I know Barrel Roller also, you interviewed Bucket as well. And it helps because there's probably 20 teams you'll play in a season that don't even know who we are. And the only crime to that is someone like myself or Dean Emma, who you've mentioned, who you've had interviewed, collectively we've played like I myself have played over 20 seasons. He's played over 18 seasons, I think. Like it's insane and almost unheard of that so many guys in this area have been playing for so many years. There's guys that might not be as active now, but they started in the mid 90s or the early 90s or even late 80s in vintage baseball. And it's crazy that those guys haven't been interviewed or haven't had their stories shared, because I'm one guy who's been playing 22 years, and hopefully I've got beyond 22 more to go. But for the guys who were in their 60s or 70s or older, they haven't maybe had an opportunity like that. And maybe they're not tech savvy. They can't hop on a Zoom or something like that. That's always a possibility also. But I would encourage you to extend that branch and see if there's others as well that, you may want to be able to reach out and hear from. We have a slew of teams, a slew of host clubs that run some festivals and tournaments and things that would possibly like to share some of their stories. So I just want to put that out there. I don't have anybody in particular right now off the top of my head, but I could definitely discuss with you off air and run through some other captains that definitely put on some great hosting clubs and festivals. And maybe you guys could link up and your clubs can come out east in the next coming years. Maybe you could work something out.
Well, we're definitely always open to anybody who has vintage baseball to talk about. I mean, if you don't think that you're an interesting person, whoever is listening to this, if you're like, I don't want to be on the podcast because I'm just not that interesting, you're wrong. You're wrong. You just don't know it. And what Rudy and I will be trying to do is get that out of you, because it's in there somewhere. You've got things to say, but you definitely have vintage baseball things to say, and that's really the pillar of the podcast as it is. But I really enjoyed having. I had Paul Salamoni on.
Yes.
I was lucky enough to have him before he passed. And I was lucky enough to have Marjorie Adams on before she passed. And I've had Don Big Guy Anderson from the Muffins out here, who's played forever. And I mean, let's face it, the older guys have the best stories and they have the most information and they usually care the most. So you never go wrong with captains of teams because they care enough to put in the work. Yeah. So the passion level is already there, and that's a given. So any names that you would give me, Anthony, you can bet that we would chisel them in stone on Rudy's rock hard abs that don't exist, and we will get those interviews done. They will happen.
Oh man,
Rudy,
I definitely need to see these rock hard abs when I come there in a few days. Like, oh my gosh.
Let me just say that whiskey coming out the nose really burns, guys.
Oh no. Don't waste the whiskey, bro.
I know. It's just, oh my goodness. It's interesting. I'm so happy. My cup overfloweth, y'all. I'm just gonna be honest. Because 20 years ago, when I first encountered TC, it was like we were the young kids on
what were you,
team.
like 16, 17?
It's something, yeah, close.
Yeah.
And we were the young kids on a team full of men, right? And it does my heart good. It knows that we're going in the right direction as a community when we have such an ambassador as yourself, TC. It makes me feel like I was like, wow, we just weren't some punk kids out there playing baseball, we were, we care about it, and we're going to be the stewards of the shouldering the responsibility of continuing to spread vintage baseball throughout the country.
Well, if I'll jump in, I would say, we may have been a little troublesome when we were younger as kids, yes, but we matured and evolved. And speaking from my own experience, and I know you have through your family lineage, through vintage, you've learned so much when it comes to the sport, to relationships, being able to eventually captain a team yourself and field a team, which we didn't start off knowing how to do. And that's huge. For me, I'll announce this now for the first time out publicly, I guess. But I've played vintage baseball for 22 years, and this season was my first season taking on my own club separately from the Atlantics. I actually created a brand new club to play out of Old Bethpage Village Restoration as specifically just a village team. And I've had great help and support from Tom Fasalowicz, Big Bat at Old Bethpage and the New York Mutuals. I've had great encouragement and support from my uncle, from Ed Pigtail Elmore. When I have questions on rules, or I have questions on uniforms, or I have questions on making things work, or how to, I'm able to reach out to some of these older gentlemen who've been playing for 30 plus years, if not more, aside from regular baseball, just vintage baseball, 30 or 40 years. And I got to learn a lot. And through my last 22 years, I've certainly, I can't pencil down everything I've learned, but I've learned so much. And it is thanks to the guys who came before us that have been able to sharpen our skills, teach us how to be men, because that's a huge thing that you learn playing on a team with men that you don't playing on a team with other boys or kids. That's a huge thing. And that came with travel. I think I was 15 years old the first away trip I went on with the Atlantics to Canada, out of the country. And I can't, no one wants to send their child out with a group of men to go play baseball. But I was blessed and honored and lucky enough that my mom trusted the team. And obviously her brother, my uncle Pigtail, was one of the captains of the team at the time. So I was in good hands. But it's just one of those things where it's like, hey, go out and play and have fun and have a great weekend and come back and share stories. And we're able to learn things like that because of the elders before us. So I'm very grateful for that opportunity and lucky enough to say that with their education and guidance, I've been able to start my own team. So very much looking forward to continuing that the rest of this season with them and growing even more as time goes on.
Can I? What's the name of the team? What's the name of the club?
We are the Cold Spring Harbor Spiders.
Oh,
So I am what's the right word? Recreating a former village team that occurred circa like 98 to maybe 2003, 2004.
Yes.
They were actually an overhand team because back then there were so many teams at the village. They had multiple underhand teams and tournaments and festivals, and then overhand as well. So my team is not an overhand club. The team itself was that played back in that time.
Mhm.
We're just playing 64 currently because we don't have as many people or as many players to enhance the game to build into an 80s league yet. I don't know if that will ever come or if guys have that great of an interest. For me, it's small steps. It was let's play a little schedule. Let's confirm we can get a commitment out of players. Let's see if we can get people to show up once a month for the summer. And we're doing well so far. We're having a blast playing against some great friends and great competition. And we always encourage to bring new players out.
Yeah.
I had a guy who came out this weekend. He's like, hey, I have a friend. I said, bring him. Like, what's that's it. Like, that's all I need to know. You have a friend. That's cool. Bring him. It doesn't matter if he's male, female, doesn't matter height, weight, size. Bring him. Let's get him into the game. And he had a blast. And maybe we'll see him in the future. That's all I won't know until he shows up again and said, I really enjoyed it last time. But he did tell me that he enjoyed it so far, and we're having a blast playing with our friends, so it's awesome.
That's amazing. My very first experience at Old Bethpage was in '98. My very first game in Old Bethpage was an overhand game where 16-year-old Rudy was pitching and Ian was catching, and like that. Gosh, man. I could spend barrel roller. This is a dangerous situation because I could spend literally hours talking to this guy about the old days of the early 2000s.
You're gonna talk to him in Frankenmuth.
I know.
You can talk to him over some apple pie moonshine on field number 2.
There we go. That sounds great.
That's when we're gonna get real.
Yes, it will. Anthony, I want you to talk about baseball in your life, your earliest memories. What was, before vintage came along, what was the baseball situation in your neighborhood? What did you have to go through? What were the rule changes you had to use in order? Because you can't get 17 guys together to play a baseball game. Kids, it's not going to happen. You got to do with what you got to do. What were some of the places you played and rules you played by when you were young?
The definite schoolyard ball kind of stuff that we did would be
frozen. Somebody say something to me.
Oh yeah, you're frozen.
I'm all alone here.
I'm so sorry, dude. You're frozen. But no, he was about to.
We're good.
He was answering your question. So
I came back a little bit.
All right. So in my neck of the woods on Long Island, when you're like a little 12-year-old kid or whatever, you ride your bike to the nearest field and you grab your metal bat and, or your stickball bat if we had stickball, so we played. And we'd go to the schoolyard and, whoever's there, whoever we called that day on our, whether it was a rotary phone or the dial phone that still had the long cord where you didn't want mom to hear what you were saying. So you went in the other room to go talk to your friends and say, hey guys, you want to go play baseball? And, we'd get together that way. Everybody would meet at the park and, we didn't have anything crazy. Maybe we'd use tennis balls and we would just throw them, metal bat. We'd use our mitts or we'd use actual baseballs, depending on who had what that day that we were using. And if they were hit over the fence, they were a home run. If not, we would be trying to make dives, trying to make catches and cool plays to imitate our favorite players. I can remember myself always when I'd come up to bat, trying to bat like certain players. And I could not do that nowadays, but I remember being a kid in my head, like, oh yeah, I'm Ken Griffey Jr. I'm a right-handed hitter. So being Ken Griffey Jr. is a little hard. So I had to try to switch things. And, it just, in my head, I was him. I was crushing the ball, but I'm not a lefty. So hitting lefty did not work out well. I could pop out, but in my head, it was a bomb. It was gone.
Yes. And so so you mentioned Ken Griffey Jr. You beat me to it. I was gonna be like, name those players that you were.
One of my favorites growing up always was Ken Griffey, hands down. My second favorite was probably Jim Tomey. I know it's a weird one,
I
but
love it.
for me, I'm all over the place with the players I grew up idolizing and watching. But watching a guy hit a ball is always, to me, the most exciting thing when it comes to baseball. Like you can strike out 3 guys in a row, and all that means is 3 guys swung and missed. That's all that happened.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, pitching is key. Don't get me wrong. I'm not hating on pitching. But when you see a guy hit a ball and it goes where it goes, that is the most amazing thing about baseball to me. And, everybody's got their opinion. Like, I like diving catches are great. Barehanded plays are great. But when somebody hits the ball and you hear the crack of the bat and that thing just goes, I think that's a beautiful sight.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Like, so would you say that your style of play has stayed consistent from when you were a kid playing these stickball games, these pickup games, to your vintage style? Because I've watched you play vintage. I've never seen somebody effortlessly move towards a ball and I'm like, that's a base hit, easy. And then just slide. Like the most cool slide ever, people. Like imagine like the most perfect cool slide and then just snap off for an out. Like has your play stayed consistent from then to now?
Well, truthfully, now it's slowing down at this point in my life. I'm 35. I'm slowing down now. I'm not taking as many crazy dives or slides because I'm trying to preserve career, because I know I have been playing for 22 years. And like I said, I'm 35. So do that math. I've been playing that long since I was 13, and diving and running into pickup trucks to catch a ball because I did not know there was a pickup truck parked in the outfield. That happened. Running through fences, running into objects, running on concrete. Because my goal as an outfielder was to catch the ball. I'm going to get that ball. Ball's out no matter what. So when you guys talked about aggressive play, or even you, Rudy, just saying like you're effortless, like if I'm going for it, I'm going balls out. And sometimes it didn't always work out in my favor, but in most of those cases, I got the ball. So there were no broken bones, thankfully, running into that pickup truck. But you did hear 2 smacks. One was the ball hitting the truck. The second was me hitting the truck. And that was I don't know. Who parks in left field? I don't know. But
let me just say this real quick. Barrel roll it. Let me just say this. This is why my father loves this man. Like one of his own sons. Until you just told that story.
He's a sweetheart.
I assumed that my father was the only person to run into a pickup truck playing outfield to catch a fly ball. My father, full speed, smacked. I wasn't even there. We got the call from the ER from Ian.
Oh no.
In like another town in Ohio. Excuse me, sorry. But that story right there speaks to it, like the passion. Like my father ran into a pickup truck, you ran into a pickup truck. It's good. You're in good company, brother. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, thank you. So just please confirm for me, Barrel Roller, that there will not be a Kona ice truck in left field on any of the fields. It will be off to the side.
No, it'll be off to the side, but I mean, you're going to go out. You're going to go after the ball, right?
Yeah. There's a chance I may go after it.
If somebody hits it towards the Kona ice, you're not going to be like, you know what? Snow cones for everybody. No, you're going to be like, I got to go get that ball.
That's a fact. I will try my hardest to get that out. So
amazing.
But that's the fun part of the game, and that's the challenging part for me.
Once again, everybody, if you're listening, still, we are talking with Anthony Cannino,
the Dirty Pirate. Although I have a very clean ABBC shirt on. I don't know if you can see that.
He's got some swag. He looks amazing.
Tried to advertise that a little bit with my clean hat. Not the hat I normally wear, because that one's covered in sweat. This is the clean hat. Do you guys do that too? Do you have like a showcase uniform that you could wear when you want to be clean, and then there's like the one that you wear all the time that fits perfect?
Are we talking about underwear?
Hey, you guys wear underwear?
Wear clean underwear when you want to be,
What
Representative, what
I'm
happened?
gonna say
What?
that the Capitals
State it.
aren't on that level. So sorry.
The underwear level, or
No,
I can't
both.
I can't speak about the underwear, but I just know that most of our uniforms are held together by like actual two threads. So I mean, we don't really have the showcase uniform. What you see is what you get.
well, no, I just feel like every maybe even 2 years, I am buying a new
That's true.
piece because I've ripped it. That's where the dirty part comes into the pirate. It's the effort that you put out on the field. It rips the uniform. These uniforms aren't made to withstand 20 dive slides a day, and unfortunately, it happens that they rip and stuff like that. So yeah,
Hey,
I have to buy a new one every year or two of something, whether it's a hat or a shirt
barrel
or
roller,
pants.
have you seen like an Atlantic or like an East Coast club's uniform up close? Have you ever seen that?
He's
No.
got to be frozen.
No,
No,
no.
absolutely not.
Well, if
I never get close to the East Coast guys because I think they're going to steal my girlfriends.
well, they are they are so cool. You got to be careful. Listen, my wife and Gettysburg, we played the Atlantics, and my wife is an amazing photographer. No lie, more than 70% of the pictures were all of the Atlantics, and I was like, and she's like, just Dean's so photogenic, and I was like, you stop it right now, and
Oh.
so. But
So
if
now
ever,
you have those hanging up in your room?
yeah, it's my
On the ceiling?
it's my little shrine. It'll just be like, there he is.
That's awesome.
No, but if you ever get up close to these gentlemen in their uniforms, patches, stitches, like they're because they go hard. They have the passion, and it doesn't surprise me that every few years you have to order something new to replace because you guys play like that, and I love that about you. So
Thank you. Yeah, everybody, we play hard. We want to play hard and we want to have fun, and that's the big part of the game. Like, do you have guys out there by you guys that do play but maybe aren't fully uniformed up? Whether it's like, I don't want to say footwear because footwear is the toughest accuracy thing to go by, in my opinion. Like, you got to be comfortable while we're playing out there. Nobody else is doing what we're doing. I don't need to wear wooden shoes with nails through them to be accurate in that. I'm going to wear my comfortable shoes. They're blacked out, but I'm wearing my comfortable spikes. And but do you guys have that? Like, I'm asking out of curiosity and also just as a question, because you mentioned that we do dive more, we slide more, we get our uniforms ripped more. Do you see a lot of guys like that in your vicinity? Because if we show up and half of us are ripped to shreds, I don't want you to think we're all homeless and we just stumbled upon the field. We are actually ball players who are coming to play and have fun with you guys. With that in mind, we are going to try to look decent. It's just, I know myself, I'm going to bring a pair of my ripped pants that I do wear just so you could see them, Matt. I want you to see what they look like just because.
Well, I don't. If the question was, how do the uniforms look out here because of the wear and tear? I mean, I think everybody looks pretty out here because they're soft out here in the Midwest. They are soft. Okay. Listen, what you got going on right now is the Canton Corn Shuckers right now have gone to the dark side, if you will, or have seen the light. Look at it any way you want. The Canton Corn Shuckers are now playing East Coast baseball. And
that's a good thing.
Are the perfect team to be doing it because they're giving their all every time. They've got to be ripping their uniforms to shreds. They got to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to look at, I understand that your guys' uniforms are Frankensteined up. I want to see if Canton's uniforms have been Frankensteined up yet, because they've been going at this for about maybe 2 years, a year for sure. And this year they've gone to trying to get everybody to play unlimited, no dead ball, that kind of thing, which is a tough sell out here. but yeah, your uniform definitely shows who you are. I mean, it's like an autobiography.
That's very true. Very true,
Listen, I'll show you some scars. I got stories, man.
dude. And it's
I mean,
interesting.
I have
No,
I have lipstick on the lapel of all my uniforms because I'm a lover.
you're a heartthrob.
I'm a gentle. I am a gentle, tender lover, and I think my uniform would tell you that.
His uniform says, "I'm a lover." No, and it's interesting. It's so. I mean, I love like having you as the first guest of this experience. It means a lot because it sounds really weird considering you're 35 and I'm older. That we still have many more years ahead of us. Like
Absolutely.
we are going to be a generation of people that will be played vintage baseball, God willing, for 50 years. Like, think about that. That's insane. And the fact that somebody, I think it was Barrel Roller that says Canton is playing East Coast baseball, and that I understand that triggers a feeling for some people. It's East. Don't call us East Coast, and Midwest, and it just brings us back to what you said in the beginning. The similarities is what brings us together. Like the love of history and the love of baseball, right there. That's all we need. And I think that I'm biased because you already know how I feel about you, TC. I think that like the community is in good hands, especially like you're starting your own club, you're venturing out, you're taking on like a leadership role in the community, like, and pretty soon we're going to be the people that people come to. Well, you're going to be the person that people come to for that advice that you sought from Pigtail, from your uncle, from Big Bat. Like, these are people that we've literally, like, honestly, because they were physically taller than us, we've looked up to for years.
Oh yeah,
and
those two men are giants.
I
The
know.
two of them are very tall dudes.
And so, like, do me a favor. Talk about. I mean, I don't look, dude. I'm just gonna be honest with you. There's gonna be some responsibility with that. Talk about like how you feel knowing that 10, 15 years from now, you're gonna be in their position. You're gonna be the person someone comes to be like, hey, I need some guidance. I need some advice. I need a rules interpretation. And how does that feel?
Well, to be super honest, that's where I lean heavily to my uncle, and I gotta thank him for his knowledge. The amount of research that guys like him, Big Bat, Al, Old Dutch, even Trotter on our one of our original co-founders with my uncle, like the amount of research that these guys had put in to basically lay down field groundwork for all of us for what we've been doing for the last 20 years and more for the last 30 years even. What they've done, it allows us this opportunity that I'm looking forward to. If people want to ask me questions, I welcome it, because the worst thing I can do is ignore them, and I would never do that. If I don't know something, I'm going to pick up the phone, and it may be a rotary phone to call my uncle, but it'll be a phone, and I'll try and get them the best possible answers. Every game, something may come up that, well, we forgot to discuss this because we didn't think it was really going to happen, but then it happens. And then what do you do? Or what's the scenario? And when you switch as often as the East Coast teams do in terms of years that we could play 1898, and then the next game could be 1855, and then the next game could be 1870, and then go back to 64. And I say the 64 last because that's our common Atlantic game we play most commonly. Mm-hmm. But we do play every other year that other teams play also. So in one weekend, we could play a whole bunch of years, and by the second game, you're like, wait, what was the rule on that? Like, you got to replay it in your head very, very quickly. And it's good to have those encouraging teammates who are like, oh, okay, remember this. When you guys go up to the plate, remember you get X, Y, and Z amount of balls in this game, or, this, you can't overrun first in this game, or you can now overrun first. Don't pull yourself up and hurt yourself. A lot, not just me, a lot of my teammates have this knowledge because we've been playing together a good core of us for almost 15 years at least. And then now our next generation of guys that we have been playing together for almost 4 or 5 years. And that's starting a whole new crop, which I like. I like passing information along to them. And I like when they ask questions, because they'll ask me stuff that maybe I got to get fresh in my mind again, just because it's a totally out of the blue question that we didn't expect. But that happens, and that's when it's going to happen. In the middle of the game when you don't expect it, could be tied 8-8, and it's like, wait, what's that rule? Who do we ask? Sometimes you don't have anybody to ask, and that's unfortunate, but make a decision, and that's where I always feel like the umpire is clutch. I'm going to jump into something real quick, if that's cool with you guys.
Go for it.
Do it.
I don't know who you have scheduled as the umpires for this festival, but just know I do not hate any of you individually as a person. I hate all umpires. And it doesn't matter what call you make. I personally have a grudge against umpires. And I've umpired myself. And people have come and made an opinion on a remark I've made. And that's cool. Like, you know, I'm not going to backtalk as the umpire. That's not my place. Because I made the call I made. And I stuck with it. And that's my biggest thing as an umpire. When you make a call, if you thought it was a foul ball, don't change it because somebody said, oh, yeah, no, that was fair. It landed over here. Or, I really was safe. And, you know, it should never be about that because we're playing for fun. We all are going to get out at some point. We are all going to get safe at some point. And whatever the umpire makes is a call, even if it's, you know, ball goes by, he doesn't make a ball call. Ball goes by, he doesn't make a strike call. That's fine. But when it's time to make the call, I do think the call needs to be made in certain instances. Like, say that the guy is out if he caught the ball, because not everybody has the best vision. If I'm running down past a pickup truck to catch a ball, the base runner might not see if I caught it. And if the umpire can't see if I caught it, that's a problem. Because the call needs to be made that the guy is out if I caught it. That's my opinion. And when things like that aren't done, that's why I hate umpires, because I personally feel like there are calls they need to make. That's why you're there. And then there's other calls that you don't make, which may be an active live ball and not a foul ball. You don't have to say that. But for the foul ball, please scream it at the top of your lungs so the outfielder playing 300 yards away can hear you. It's only fair. That's why you're there. I didn't mean for that to rhyme, by the way.
Oh, that was good. You're a poet. You didn't even know it.
But that's one of my biggest things, because the umpire is the one who's controlling the game, not either team. One team could be up 20 runs to nothing. The umpire does what? He keeps the game going along, hopefully, and he's not sleeping there in a lawn chair. Like, keep the game going along. It's 20 to nothing. Keep it going along. Call something. If you guys don't know what I mean by that, please speak up, and we can dive into that a little bit, just because I know that's a difference from East Coast ball to Midwest ball and further, the umpiring ability or lack thereof.
Oh, buddy. Don't even get me started. Like, I think I've definitely mentioned on this podcast that existed before this, and then this podcast in general, the pace of a game is on the East Coast is perfect. Like, perfect. It's funny that you said you hate all umpires. There were a few times where we had to self-govern as the Gothams and the Atlantics, and I've never felt more stress in my life than getting up there and having to call balls and strikes for Flash, because he's a giant man and I don't want to make him angry. And I was like, I'm going to say that was a strike, and like, please don't hurt me. But like, it's like, make a call, keep it going, because I mean, you're preaching to the choir on this one. We're out there playing a game, but we also have to take in mind that it's not entertaining for people who are watching to have to watch an umpire just let something go and just like not keep the game going, not make a call, keep it going. I love where your head's at.
Well, just to jump in also for two small snippets on that same topic, not just for the fans watching that it could be boring to them, but your outfielders who are sweating in the 95-degree weather, like just standing out there, you know, they don't know what to do because was that a ball? Was that a strike? Should I care? And then all of a sudden the guy hits the ball. It's like, come on, like, is that baseball? Because I am positive it's not baseball. That's you in the backyard with your friends who are just soft tossing to hit it. And that's not baseball. It's not. It's not what you did as a kid. It's not what you did when you were playing in the streets. It's not what you did in the yard. So why change it now? That I don't get. I understand when you discuss things before a game and different rules and regulations come into play for the safety of players, for, there's a creek down on the side of the road. Okay, guys, if the ball bounces there, it's a dead ball. Pirate, don't dive in the fucking creek. Sorry, I don't know if I can curse on this. I didn't mean it like that. But, it's just like one of those things where, those safety measures are there on purpose. And that's when it's good. But don't ever discredit somebody's ability to run fast, play hard, and dive and make a play, because that's the game. You would never see any professional sports team say, hey, you know what? If you could tackle him a little softer, well, that's what the NFL does, right? They want everybody to two-hand touch. Look at how that's going. Do we want to see everybody two-hand touch? No, we're mad at that. We want to see them tackle and play the game. So you know where I'm coming from with that. We all agree about that. It's just the NBA, when they get, they go for a layup and they don't even touch the guy and it's a foul. Oh my gosh. So the rules have gotten softer for the benefit of players through the years, through all sports, not just vintage baseball. But I just don't think anybody should be discredited for playing hard and giving maximum effort, because they can. If another guy can't and he doesn't do that, nobody's going to look at him and say, you stink because you didn't slide. Well, maybe they will, but I don't know. Somebody will. But the point is, you can do that because you know your own ability, just like I know mine. And for me to run and stop and not slide is a danger to the guy I'm running at. Because if I can't stop, guess where I'm going? Right into him, unfortunately, because I didn't slide around him. I didn't get to dive out of the way. I didn't get to do that for fear of breaking a rule that doesn't exist or changing the game. And then I could hurt myself and make it worse, or hurt the other guy or girl. Absolutely. And it's just that's not right. That's not fair. And that part upsets me if you can't tell, because it's one of those things where I want people to be able to play hard and play and have fun. There have been times where the Atlantics have come out Midwest and Ohio, and we've played some ball. And I remember one particular rule was the strangest to me, that we had to play a few paces from the base as a defender. And maybe that's not as expressed and exercised in 2022 as it was 20 years ago. But how do you distinguish where you need to play unless it said, this guy always played right here, never stepped off the bag, never moved in motion with the pitch, never did any of that. And it doesn't say that anywhere. There's nowhere written. There may be articles where somebody played closer to the bag. And why did they write about him playing closer to the bag? Probably because there was a runner on base. Probably because there was a scenario where he needed to be closer to the bag. You look at one article, and that's what you got. That's one instance. There are so many instances. I could tell you 100 games that I've played in where I've never played in the position I'm supposed to be in, because that's not where the guy's going to hit the ball. So you can't tell me that you know better than I do on where the guy's going to hit the ball, and that's where you should play. That's hogwash, man.
What an amazing conversation this had.
I went on a rant. I'm sorry, man. I was trying I made sure I drank water so that I wasn't going to go on a rant, but I did anyway. So I should have drank what you were drinking.
We went from rant to circle jerk to rant to circle jerk. It was amazing what was going on here. It was love for each other, hate for everybody else. That's what we've done here.
Well, I hope they're listening, because if no one's told you before or said anything, at least now you can say you've heard another opinion directly, and come see me and talk to me when I'm out there and tell me why you think something else. I'll listen to you. I have no problem. You guys got an opportunity to listen to me, but I would love to hear other people's opinion. That's the thing. Also, I'm not one to shout out or shell out anyone else's opinions. I am always open to hearing someone ask a question or speak about a topic. I never want anybody to feel that they can't do that, whether it's in private via a message or out in the open public to talk about it. Don't ever feel like you can't ask questions, because the more we talk like this, even amongst each other, we strengthen the game, the quality of the game, and we strengthen all of our relationships with each other and with the game. We share for everybody else who's listening. And who's listening? All of the fans of vintage baseball.
All of them. And, I want to get back to the pace of play thing. You brought up the umpiring. I'm actually umpiring my first match for the Canton Cornshuckers at the end of July. And I don't think the Midwest teams are ready for me as an umpire, because let me tell you what, there ain't nobody taking 12 pitches waiting for the perfect one to come by when I'm umpiring. It's not happening.
Yes.
We're up here swinging. There's no walks.
Yeah.
What are you waiting for? Let's swing the bats. Let's play the game. And I got a big fat loud mouth, so yelling foul and expressing myself isn't going to be a problem. And that is one of the big problems we have around here, is the perception that umpires are not on that foul call. And listen, if you're running the bases, that is also a huge problem. If they're waiting on that foul, that poses huge issues for the runners, not just the fielders. Like, you got to tell everybody what's going on. How dare you call somebody out after you didn't tell them it was a foul ball when they get the ball back to first? Oh, I'm just kidding.
You're absolutely right, and I couldn't agree with you more.
Oh, man. That is, I mean, number one, like, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Barrel Roller.
No, you. I insist.
Oh, well, no, I was going to say that, like, I encourage every person should have the experience as an umpire in vintage baseball. Like, if you want a complete vintage baseball experience, umpire a game. I have umpired many games, and I have umpired on the East Coast. I've umpired in the Midwest. It doesn't matter where you are. You need to experience it, because, I mean, you'll have a better appreciation for what is happening out there if you view it from that of an umpire. I have been a part of epic long at bats, not on me. I've watched him, like, oh gosh, swing the bat, please, like, or make a call, make a strike call, make a ball call, something, do something, warn somebody. And then I've been on the other end where I'm like, oh, well, I've got to swing the bat right now. I have to make this. It's got to put it in play, and it really makes you a better vintage baseball player if you can have that experience.
That'll be an interesting thing for everybody in the Mightiest Striker, because they only get 10 balls. They get 6 swings, or they have 10 balls to work with. So you got to swing 6 times in those to get your full. And a lot of guys are used to letting 6 balls go by before they even swing. So that's going to be a little bit of a different world for them. And they're not going to like it, probably. I'm sorry.
Let me ask about that for a second, because when you first made an announcement, and it may have been in March, it was a long time ago. So I hate to be like, hey, you said, but I was listening. So I heard you say, I thought it was 12 pitches. Did you change it from 12 to 10?
Okay. Yeah, I did.
Okay. Because I had mentioned it to my club that as I was listening to an earlier pod or something where you mentioned it, I told them it was 12, but it's not. It'll be 10 pitches and then 6 balls that have to be struck.
It's 10. Yes, the pitcher will have 10 balls, and you got to swing at 6 of them. And I'm sorry if the 10th ball is pitched and you didn't get your 6 swings in, you just got to deal with what you did up until that point, because there isn't any more. And one of the reasons was I'm concerned about time. I don't want to turn this into a giant marathon of skills, and I want the guys swinging the bats. I think if you get entered into a contest like the Mightiest Striker, you're probably a good power hitter. And if you're a good power hitter, you probably know where your wheelhouse is, and you're going to wait for that wheelhouse. And I would assume all 16 people in this competition, if they get a ball in their wheelhouse, is going to crank it. I want the guy to win who hit it the farthest when it wasn't in his wheelhouse. That's what I'm looking for. So, yeah, there's a difficulty level to it, and I think it should be for a contest like this. So,
if you want the guy to hit the ball the furthest, if it's not pitched in his wheelhouse, then you should not suggest that he brings his own pitcher. And we should just randomly pick a person and just let everybody, hey, you get what you get.
You get what you get. If I don't want everyone to do well, I should just pitch to everybody.
There you go. I've not seen you as a pitcher.
Well, I don't. I'm not. So, but they're allowed to supply their own pitcher, and that also takes the onus off of me. You can't complain about my rules. You'll go and complain to your guy about how terrible he was at throwing, and so that'll be nice. Off of that, hey Anthony, we've done it, brother. You know what? We didn't get to the one question I was going to ask you, but now I'm thinking I'm going to see you at Field 2 this weekend, and we're going to do it in one of these 8-minute interviews.
Yeah, I'm in.
You got your start in vintage baseball. We're going to find out how you got your start in vintage baseball, and we're not going to do it here.
Can I be there for that? Can I be there for that conversation? I would love to see a part 3.
Our 8-minute interview.
Field 2.
Come weekend. I'll bring a close to this first ever. Rudy Bernard, Swamp Fox, Bill Roller, for being here. Rudy, go ahead, complete the circle jerk.
Listen, if I'm gonna be in a circle jerk, I want you two to be there, and you guys. Let me just say that
how awesome he is.
Now, I was gonna talk about how amazing, how lucky the vintage baseball community is to have ambassadors such as yourselves. I'm gonna include both of you in that because I believe the phrase is "a rising tide lifts all ships," and you gentlemen are the tide, and you're lifting the ship of vintage baseball and the community of vintage baseball just by everything you are doing. And we're better for it. We're going to be the community is going to get better and stronger, and the love of vintage baseball is going to spread as far and wide than it ever has before because of what you two are doing. And I'm just excited. I'm excited to see both of you in 4 days. I cannot wait for part 3 of this interview to commence because, this could be a 2-hour-long interview easily. So I'm just saying.
We probably will not get much sleep either Friday night or Saturday night because if we're all in the same hotel, we'll be hanging out talking, I imagine, for any number of part 4, 5, 6, or 7, just to share stories with each other. And it's been so long since I've gotten to see you in person. So it is going to be great. Very much looking forward to it. So thank you guys very much because it's going to be a grand time. And I'm very much looking forward to it, as is the rest of the Atlantics. We haven't been out that way in a while. We're looking forward to meeting a whole bunch of new clubs, a whole bunch of new guys and girls who are interested in the game and just having a fun time with you guys. So thank you very much.
And before I go, I just want to tell Midwest Vintage Baseball, I don't hate you. I know it sounds like I hate you. Listen, I don't hate you. I love you. I think we've already touched on the fact that I am a gentle and tender lover. But what I'm trying to do right now is tough love, because we're not doing it right. And we're missing for an overhaul, baby. I'm just asking for a tweak or two, baby. And then you get the tweaks in there. And then I think you're going to see things like a higher commitment level. Oh, you want that commitment, don't you, baby? And I think that we're going to get that when we make things more, make the stakes higher, make it a little more aggressive, if that's the word, and make the flow of the games go faster, have umpires. I don't know. I think going back to some terminology that just gets ignored now, I think playing in sunglasses with your logos on and your gold necklaces hanging out. I'm sorry. I don't know what just happened.
Get him.
Anyway,
Get him, barrel roller.
I love you guys.
I'm very much looking forward to this love affair when we get down there in person, or up there, because yes, lots of love to be had.
And I'm the one with the bad connection. I hate myself. I hate myself right now. I'm the only one who can hear me right now.
Nobody hear you.
And
You're
I
just
hate
on a
myself for
delay.
it. And I'm going to have to go in and edit this entire episode because of my bad connection. Oh, there we go.
I don't hear Rudy.
It's
Is Rudy
my fault.
muted? Rudy, you're
I'm
muted.
sorry, guys.
I was muted because I'm dealing with a slight cough. But no, everything can be fixed with a simple edit.
No.
You're fine, barrel roller. You're perfect. I love you.
Yeah, we're going to edit. I think your audio on this is going to be better than mine. I might have to sift through it. Hey, Rudy, why don't you go ahead and sign off on this, your first episode of the rest of our lives?
Oh, wow. I don't know what to say other than, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed your first trip on this magical mystery tour of a podcast. And I cannot thank Anthony Cannino, TC, the Dirty Pirate, enough for joining us on our inaugural event of this evening. We have so much more to dig into with you, and I cannot wait for that. You are the door opening for the rest of the vintage baseball community to walk through and be a part of as we expand vintage baseball across the country and the globe, thanks to all of the hard work that Barrel Roller has put forth with the Roller Out the Barrel show. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this evening. We look forward to bringing you more amazing content in the future, and we will see you out there in the sun.
Vintage baseball, baby. Lots of love.